Hello, hello, and hello, and welcome to the Cup TV, the Currently Unnamed Podcast, where we put the real and the tea in reality. And you can always come to us first to quench your reality thirst. I am your girl Lana, your resident evil diva, and I'm here to give the tea, spill the tea, and drink the tea because you know I love me some tea. Purr. And if you have some tea, you know what to do. Hit me up. I am actually drinking tea this morning because why not? I need a little pick me up. And it's only the best tea ever, Milo's extra sweet tea.
Ooh.
I mean, if you are from the South, you know. If you know, you know.
Oh, I
Milo's.
know.
Oh, you know, you know. Milo's is the only and the best tea out there. I am so sorry if you are not in the South and you cannot get your hands on one of these because, baby, it's delicious. But if I was drinking anything else, I would be drinking it out of mine. Yes, yes, cup mug.
No,
And
no,
you
no, no,
can
no, cup mug.
da and you can get your cup mug at LanaG'sCreations.etsy.com. And we do ship internationally and domestically. So there are no excuses. And I'm looking at you, Squid Game fans all over the world, because you are all watching and you all should support the cup. Period. The link will be in the description below.
Uh, I'm Brooke. I am Brooke Hogan of the Cup, and I'm a real life Funko Pop because my head is huge. Not quite as big as Squid Game girls, though. I'll be honest. And I'm coming off a really good high because Rap dropped this morning, so I got to look through that, and that's a yearly favorite of mine. I'm also just drinking. I'm just drinking water, like nothing crazy, just some water. And dear Lord, Squid Game.
The
It's
challenge.
it's hitting so far. I'll be honest.
I'm not mad at this Squid Games at all. I personally did not watch the original Squid Game, so I didn't know what I was getting into. And honestly, I'm just going to be very transparent. The only reason I said I was going to watch this game is because I knew people who was on this game. And
Yeah.
like not just new people like I've seen them around. And like no, I know people. I have some people in my phone. I can call them right now and talk to them. And I have podcasted with one of these people who was in said game. So we have a Cup family member who was on the Squid Games challenge. And I'm just like, absolutely, we're watching the show. Absolutely, we're covering the show. And I have to say, I've not been disappointed by these first 5 episodes that we're going to talk about. But first, before we jump into that, if you're here and you like the Squid Games or any other reality TV show, you should hit that subscribe button. Subscribe to the Cup TV. Hit the follow, hit the share, hit the likes, all those things. Hit that notification bell because we put out content almost every single day and you won't be disappointed by all the content that we have. So follow us here on the Cup TV. If you like all things drag, go follow us on our main channel at the Cup Pod. And if you like all things Eurovision, go follow us on our new channel, our newest channel, the Cup ESC, and all of these things. We cover almost everything. So
Mhm.
you want to check us out.
Unlike you, I watched the OG Squid Game. I adored it. I think it's one of the cool. I don't want to say coolest in terms of like good, but like it's very dramatic. It's a very good show. Um, so I've been waiting on this to come out. I did not think it was going to be that good. I'll be honest, because I think part of the charm of Squid Game is that we develop deep connections with a lot of these players. And my biggest worry coming in was you have 456 people, biggest cast of any reality show ever, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you make us attached to them and care about them? The answer is you only focus on about 20 to 30 of them and you let the rest of them just be NPC contestants. That works for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they did a really good job like formatting everything. But these first 5 episodes, we got a villain rise, a villain die. You got multiple heroes come in and out, lots of drama, a few twists. Like, this feels like a game that is built on the back of being unfair, and I'm here for that because it's unfair to everyone, not just one person. So
Exactly.
I'm here for it.
Exactly. I feel like this is the game that literally anybody could come out on top. Like there is nothing that's saying, "Oh, if you're this, you will win. If you're that, you'll lose." If you anybody, if you just have the will, the determination, the drive, the ambition, and just sometimes just sheer luck on your side, you could win these games. And it's so interesting to watch. And you're right, 456 people is a lot of people to start off a game. But what they did, like you said, what they did was they focused on a handful of people, made us like them, not like them, um, root for them, root for their downfall. And it was so crazy because apparently the first game always is red light, green light, because that separates the weak from the strong, I guess. That gives us a lot of people are going, a lot of people are going to go out in that game. And we get red light, green light in episode one. And it's so intense. I personally did not think we were going to get focusing the time focused on some people who just never made it out of red light, green light. But we
Mm-hmm.
did. We got some backstories on some people, and I was like, oh, okay, this is somebody who we're going to root for throughout the game, or oh, this person is somebody who is going to be there. And then the game starts, and then they were in the first group to get popped, and I was like, oh, what you make me like them for if they were gonna get popped? Like it was so crazy.
I kind of appreciated it though. If I know you haven't watched Squid Game, Lana, but the people who have, there is nothing else they could have used to open the show.
Oh,
The
absolutely
red
not.
light, the red light, green light scene in the show is probably the most iconic thing that came out of Squid Game, at least in terms of like visually.
Mm-hmm.
Squid Game Girl has lived in the nightmares of many people who've watched the show. So I was really excited about it. Um, and then on top of that, we also got to see some really cool plot twists emerge in that. Some really cool editing choices. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I feel especially bad for the girl who got caught squatting. I feel
Yes.
really bad. I forgot your number. I'm sorry. Um, but apparently, because I've been keeping up with the post-show stuff, they made it seem like there were tiny breaks and you only
Yeah.
had the 5 minutes of the show. No,
No,
this was like
absolutely
a
not.
7 hour
Hour.
red light, green light challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And when you know that, then you feel bad for squatting girl. Because, like, a lot of people online when it came out were like, she couldn't have squatted for like 15 seconds until they restarted the timer. And I'm like, at first I felt that way too. Because I'm like, I feel like she could have. Um, but she just didn't. And then we find out, oh, no, she literally had to squat for like 30 minutes. And I'm like,
30
yeah,
minutes.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Um,
correct.
on top of that, we also had a few people that I am aware of, and I'm pretty sure Lana might know if I remind her of them, that were in this part of the episode that got eliminated, did not get featured at all. One of them is a former NXT superstar for
Mm-hmm.
WWE, Leva Bates. If you remember her in NXT, you might know her as Blue Pants. She
Mm-hmm.
was around for a little bit. She was mostly a jobber, but she got a little bit of shine at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she's also done some work with All Elite. Um, and she's been a commentator there for a little bit too. The other person is also a wrestler, Allison Danger. She's a big person in like Shimmer on the indie circuit. So I didn't know they were on it until literally 10 minutes ago when I was looking over the people that got eliminated during Red Light, Green Light.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they both got out in Red Light, Green Light. And that, I mean, to be fair, those are both two very athletic people. So it goes to show you,
Right.
Red Light, Green Light is a bit of an equalizer here.
It
Um,
really is because you can be as strong as you want and You just running so fast, and when that head turns back around, you like, and you move, and you're out. It's really
Mhm.
strategic how you play when you know how fast you run, how, and that's the size of a football field, and they have 5 minutes. Of course, they say 15 minutes to get through it, but it was 7 hours. We find out behind the scenes it was freezing cold. That's why you see a lot of people with their hands in their pocket trying to keep warm, and they would hold these poses for 15 to 30 minutes at a time, and it's crazy. I don't know. I don't know how I would have done in that, but I think I would love to try because that's like a childhood game. For we used to play red light, green light all the time when I was a kid. We just go outside and red light, green light,
Mhm.
green light, red light.
Uh, And that was part of the appeal of Squid Game, is that it wasn't these like elaborate showpiece challenges that like something on the regular challenge, right? Like if you
Mhm.
see them go like, you have to run this 5 mile hike and then solve this puzzle and like yada yada yada. This is literally, you're playing red light, green light. Don't fail. Don't be stupid, right? And that's all it is. And I really appreciate that about this show. Um, Especially considering I'm pretty sure almost everyone we knew made it through red light, green light, except for one person, because we know a few people on this cast.
It was crazy. Shout out to number 436, Dom, who is our cup pod panelist family, actually went through and made it past on the finish line on red light, green light, but got eliminated after he passed the finish line. And I was like, how does that happen? We have yet to hear his story, but we hope to have him on the show very soon to talk about it because I want to know what happened.
NDAs, everybody, NDAs.
I know, but shout
um,
out to Dom.
no, just for the people who have been hitting up all these other contestants and players, the ones that are getting like lots of screen time, and been like, "What's going on? Why can't you talk about it?" They have an NDA. Just, just give
Yeah,
them time. They'll talk about it when they can. Um,
exactly.
but yeah, we lose 259 players
Yep.
in red light, green light,
We
which
go down
is
from 456 to 197.
that's crazy to me. Um, Special shout outs to the older woman who, when she went out, just said, "Oh damn." So shouts to her. But yeah, red light, green light as usual. Fire, loved it, great time. Um, and then we go into the dormitories.
Well, before we go into the dormitory, we got to talk about because I actually took notes, Brooke. I took some
Oh,
very thorough notes on this because I wanted to make sure that we are informed when we're talking about the Squid Game because it was we can't go by without talking about some of the teams who were going through. Like we have Trey and Leanne, the mom and son team, 301 and 302.
love
And
Leanne. I
love
love
Leanne.
Leanne.
I'm
I
a
love Trey.
fan,
I like Trey too,
like
but
Trey, but
I
I'm a
love
fan.
Leanne.
I am a fan stan of Leanne. Like
Please put
I love
Leanne in
her.
Big Brother next year.
Oh, love her.
Please.
Absolutely. They are trying to get there together and they do. They make it through together. I'm very pleased, very thrilled that they get through. Then we have the best friend group of Chase and Steven. And Chase, Steven is like, Chase is my best friend. We go ride it out to the end, and then, but we're also enemies. And if we make it to the end, may the best man win, blah, blah, blah. Chase did not survive red light, green light. As a matter of fact, he gets popped in the first round, I think.
One of the first
And
few, yeah.
one of the first few rounds, he gets popped, and it's right next to his friend. And Steven is like, oh, dang, there
Mm-hmm.
he goes. But Steven actually does survive red light, green light, so he goes into the dorm.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see who else. We get our first look at Jada 097, who I am a stan. I'm fan. I stan Jada.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a
I'm a big
fan
fan
of
of
her.
hers.
Big fan of Jada. We also we get our look at 107 Tio, who is the first person to cross the line in red light, green light.
Mm-hmm.
Like
and this will become a recurring pattern for this man.
Mhm.
Just keep aware. He is. I don't want to call him a threat, but if you're looking at somebody who could win
Yeah.
early on, he is
Yeah.
definitely in that boat.
Yeah.
Um,
Definitely. We also
but
get
yeah,
our first look at 432 Brighton,
who
who
has been stirring up a lot of controversy online.
yes,
Um, Now I'm going to
in,
make my position known on Brighton before we even get to any of
I will too.
the edit and all that stuff. Okay, reality TV cannot survive without villains. He is a phenomenal villain.
He is.
Um, and and I think he's embraced that a little bit too. But also, like, I love all these people online talking about, oh, we want old school Big Brother back, but they can't deal with people being a little bit mean. Like,
Yeah.
granted,
No,
was he a little bit too mean sometimes? Yeah, but like, I don't think it was anything terrible. Like, if you've watched Big Brother 6, Janelle and freaking Bo used like argued to each other all the time and said way worse things than this man even remotely said. So like, just lay off the dude, let him live his villain fantasy and have a good time with it, because he made the show better.
I actually liked Brighton when I was like, sure, he's the villain. But like you say, every reality TV show needs a good villain. And he's a good one. Like he is very confident in himself, in his abilities. He is like, I didn't come here to make no friends. I came here to win this money. Um, is he a bro? Sure. And I'm not a fan of the bros all the time, but I feel like he's an athlete. That's what they do. They have to have this air of confidence about themselves to know like, hey, I got to motivate myself so I can go out there and do what I got to do. And I didn't mind him. If he, I felt like he was a little, I don't know if I would say mean or rude, or he was just like, when you don't understand something, like, why are you crying? Like, stop crying. Like, because he don't understand why these people are crying over stuff they don't need to be crying about. Like, we'll talk about it later, but like people were crying in lines, and he was like, "What are you crying? Like,
Well,
this is so."
when we get to Dalgona, because that is coming up,
Yeah. Well,
because 299 has also caused a
oh,
little bit of controversy online, but we'll talk about
we'll
them when we
talk
get to
about
them.
that. Yeah.
But yeah,
Now we'll go to the dorm.
yeah, we lost literally half the cast
Half the
almost.
cast.
259, which is a crazy number. Um, and everybody gets into the dorms. It's just like the show. There's like stacked bunk bed in this like barren room. We get to get our first look at the attendants, which are always spooky. The year Squid came out, there were Halloween costumes everywhere. And I'm just excited that they kept a lot of like the atmosphere of Squid Game. I think it really heightened the show to me.
Yeah.
So first off, they get to see all the cash pile into the big
Which is
glass piggy
cute.
bank, which great visual, love that. Um, then they get told there's going to be more ways to be eliminated than challenges. There's also going to be tests.
Yes.
Um, and for someone like me who's a big fan of solitary, anytime I hear the word test, I'm immediately intrigued and I'm immediately happy. And they don't elaborate. Good. They don't need to know.
They don't need to. Why? We're not going to tell you everything. Just know it's the test coming.
Mhm.
Period. And yeah. So everybody's in the dorms and they're, checking out the place, picking their bunks. This is the first time that I get to see, or we get to see my friend, my babes, the person I am standing this whole time, 141, Dash Cats, my boo. I'm sorry to everyone else. I love you all, but Dash will forever and always be who has my stand card in his secured in his pocket. It's there. I adore him. And we see him for the first time, and he's looking around, talking to the girls. We get a confessional from Dash, and I'm like, yes, like this is great. We also see 200 Moti. He's going
Mhm.
around, he's talking to everybody, he's being very social. I was like, okay, cute. He's talking to people, and everybody's pretty much feeling him out. He's nice. He's a nice guy.
Get that working that social game early, you
Work
know.
that social game. That's
Well,
what you're
and
supposed to do.
also to 1000%. Okay, everybody's talking about, oh, this is a challenge show. You don't need to have a social game. Have you seen some of the mess these people have to go through? Yes, indeed, you need a social
You
game.
definitely need a social game. Like, just
Um,
because it's a challenge show, and yes, a lot of stuff is based on a challenge, you still need a social game because especially when they just said it's going to be a test and people can get eliminated during these tests. If you are not social with the right people, you
mhm.
can get eliminated at any time. So,
So on top of that, we also see a few people that we are not personally familiar with, but do have a
mhm,
bit of like name recognition. Uh, Most importantly, Figgy's from Survivor Millennials versus Gen X is here.
mhm,
This made me like her more than MVGX did, just to be clear. Um, then you also have a former Eurovision contestant, Anna Celine. I hope I'm pronouncing her last name right. My apologies. She's 142. She came in third in Eurovision, I believe, in 2002.
okay,
So a couple of people like that. Um, Also, there's more people if you're like an org person that I recognize because Chapman
yeah.
is also someone that I've seen in orgs 445. Um, Plenty of other people are getting some screen time, um, but there's a lot. There's a lot of people getting screen time, and it's hard to keep track of it. But it like a lot of these people are super entertaining.
Right. So let's get to the first test because they tell everybody that they are responsible for keeping up with the dorms, keeping the dorms maintained and cleaned, and people going to clean the bathrooms, people going to the kitchen to uh, make food, and everybody is responsible for keeping the things down. So then we get contestant 134 Danny and 101 Kyle, and they go into the kitchen and they are cutting or they're cutting carrots, just shaving carrots. And
Mhm.
so then they are told that were chosen to do the first test. And the first test is they can either give a player an advantage in the game, in the next game, or eliminate somebody. And so they're trying to decide what they want to do. Do we want to eliminate? Do we want to give advantage?
When I heard this is when I knew the show was gonna work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because you hear, oh, you just get to straight up eliminate somebody. It's not even like, there's a vote or anything like that, or like, no, it's just straight up, you two random people out of this entire group of like 200 plus people,
Mm-hmm.
you two get to eliminate one person of your choice.
And
And
it's
they're just,
anonymous.
and it's anonymous and they're gone,
Yep.
right? And to me, I'm like, oh my God, this shit is going to be great. This is going to be fantastic. Um, they start debating it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they do discuss eliminating 432. Was it 432 Brighton?
Yes.
They talk about eliminating Mothi. I'm not entirely sure
Multi.
how you
I
pronounce his
think
name. Yeah.
so.
Number 200. Somebody else gets brought up, but I cannot remember who it was. Was it Rick? I feel like it might have been Rick. Um, Number 232, the older guy
I
that's
don't
friends with
think it was.
Steven.
Yeah, I don't think it was Rick. I think it was. I can't remember. I can't remember.
I
But
know there
yeah,
was three people, but
it
yeah.
was three
So
people.
yeah, so they're talking and they come to a decision because they basically like, yeah, we're eliminating somebody. Done.
Yeah, we're eliminated
Um,
because they were like, because honestly, if we gave somebody advantage, we don't know if they would turn around and do that for us because they don't even know it's us who did it.
exactly.
So.
Um, so they come back out from shaving the carrots, and apparently people are going off and doing chores the entire day. So it's not
Mm-hmm.
no one's too suspicious of them right out of the gate. They are both terrible actors. I'll tell you that right now.
Horrible.
Well, okay,
Horrible.
134 was a lot better than 101, but they were both really bad.
I got
It's like
some behind
comparing a
this.
Razzie nominated performance versus a Razzie winning performance, you
Right.
know?
Look. I have some inside tea on that because I did hear from some behind the scenes that 101 was not as good as we saw. Well, she was bad, but she was probably 134 was probably still just as bad as 101
Mhm.
because this person walked right up to one person and the guilt was all over their face.
Hmm.
Like after the person who they eliminated got eliminated, they walked up to somebody and was like, "Oh, are you okay?" And that person looked at them and was like, "You did it." And
Hmm.
they knew it and didn't have to say anything. So I think the guilt kind of got to both of them. But 101 was horrible from the jump, right out the gate.
Yeah.
Like coming out of the kitchen, it was bad.
Well, we
Even his
also
own
got.
friends was like,
Mhm.
"You do that?"
We
Yeah.
get a little bit of screen time with him too, and he's like, straight up, I'm from Kentucky. I've got this like draw, and that makes people underestimate me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at first, I'm like, okay, I'm interested, and then I saw him act, and I'm like, I don't know if they underestimate your acting skills, my guy, but
No.
no, they don't underestimate that. But yeah, so they have this like little slot machine thing on the screen, flashing like rolling the numbers, and
Mm-hmm.
they eventually end up eliminating 200, who was a really interesting character out of the gate in terms of like playing a really strong social game. But unfortunately, we didn't get to see that, and I'm bummed.
Yeah, I'm bummed about it because um uh 200, I mean, people had some reactions, like some
Mhm.
visceral reactions when 200 got eliminated.
And
Dash
they've been there
was
for like a day.
a day. Dash was crying, like, "Oh my god!" And
Mhm.
Dash was like, from what I've heard, he from other interviews that Dash did, Dash was like he was somebody who was really close to him. And like in that day, he was calling him son, and Dash was like, I was calling him dad because that's how close we were. We bunked next to each other, we talked, and it was just really, we just became really close in that short amount of time. And they made this a little alliance, I think, in that short period of time. Now we didn't get to see all of that because, of course, the edit didn't show all of that. But those are the behind the scene things that we didn't get to see. But like, I felt like that's probably why he got eliminated, because he was so social and it freaked them out. But
Mhm.
you know, who knows? The
Yeah,
longest it's gone. And we go down from 197 to 196 with the pot turning into $2.6 million at this point.
I believe that's still the biggest prize of any reality show ever.
It is the biggest
Like,
prize of
you,
any reality show.
well, I mean, the grand prize obviously is, but at
Well,
2.6 is, I'm pretty sure, is still the biggest.
yeah.
Like,
I don't think
all of you could have
anybody has
just.
got $2.6 billion in any show.
The highest I know of that I could think of right now is that one guy on the million-second quiz on NBC all those years ago made
Mm-hmm.
like I think 2.4 maybe. So,
Mm-hmm.
they're doing it. That
Yeah.
Netflix is like, we have the money,
We
we are
have the
letting these
budget.
people do it. Um, so after that, we get a lot of like just in-house discussions and drama going on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but nothing too concrete
No,
until we.
I think we move on to episode two at this point.
Yeah.
Episode two happens, and when I tell you, hold on, I'm going to find my pen. Oh, right here. Episode two happens because I'm keeping notes as we go along, so I could make sure that we have it all in our podcast for you guys. Um, so you can jump episode to episode. You don't have to watch the whole thing if you only are interested in certain episodes. So, episode two, we jump in. Um, and we find out that the next game, because they really go into, everybody's trying to figure out what the next game is going to be. We have a lot of dorm room conversations happening, but it's a lot of people, so we can't really keep up with everybody's conversations
Hmm.
and things like that. So honestly, I kind of just want to jump into the next game because we end the episode. I think we end episode one with them going down to the lines, and
Hmm.
they're lining up for the next game, and they tell them they have to get in 4 lines. Everybody kind of figured, they're like, "Oh, it's the cookie. It's probably the cookie. It
Hmm.
must be the cookie." Now, because I didn't watch Squid Games, I was like, what's the cookie? But I quickly found out what the cookie was.
This
And
game is demonic.
it
This
is
game
very
is
demonic.
no, because like even with red light, green light, right? That's just normal red light, green light with slightly bigger stakes. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Not only do you have this tiny little cookie, right, that you have to poke a shape out of with a needle, right? But every time someone's getting eliminated, you hear that little squib pop on their chest. They have to fall over like they died, and then the announcer comes on and says, "Player blah blah blah
Has
eliminated,"
eliminated. Yeah.
right? And to me, that would kill my focus. Like I don't like. There are very few challenges that I feel like the average human being could do on these shows that I'm like, nope, never. I am scatterbrained to the max. If you have ever podcasted with me, you know that. Like I just could not do this ever. Um, and it was they actually added a twist to it that just wasn't on the original show, which I think really made it compelling. Because the original show, they just get shown the four shapes and told to get in lines in front of the shapes, and then they find out what they're doing. Here it's everyone knows what this is the second you see those shapes,
Mm-hmm.
and the people at the front of each of the four lines have to go into the room and pick their shape, and they have to come to a unanimous agreement because whatever they pick, the entire line behind them will have to do that same shape.
Yep.
um and if they don't,
They die. So we do get our first group to go in to choose a shape, and it was player 166, 328, 098, and 170. They are the first group to go in to pick a shape, and they had 2 minutes to agree, and they did not agree. So all of them were eliminated. Pop, 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 pop. You're gone.
see them not doing it, I kind of get,
Yep.
because like you
You're
didn't know,
first.
you don't know the stakes, you're just out. The second group, that annoyed the crap out of me, I'll be honest. Because
Second.
by this point, you have seen what happens if you don't come to an agreement, even if it's not ideal, right?
Right.
If it were me, I'd be like, I'm taking the star. Y'all debate over the other three. I don't worry about it. And if somebody really wants the star and wants me on the umbrella, I'd probably agree to that too. Because at the end of
Mm-hmm.
the day, I would rather have a chance to make it through than just die without even getting to try the challenge, you know?
Right.
And
But the
these
second
people
group,
were stubborn.
yeah, the second group was 288, 378, 454, and 321. And they chose not to do it either. And so pop, 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 they also were eliminated. So then we get to the third group, which is 452, 432, 299, and 344. And
The drama
the
of this
drama of it
group.
all.
Because before they go in, 299 is a bit of an emotional guy.
He's
Okay.
very emotional.
I'm trying to be nice.
He's very, like, Spencer knows it.
Man's
Spencer knows he is
Spencer
so
knows.
emotional.
Yeah. Also, I follow him on TikTok now because he's been posting some really cool TikToks about his experience on the show. And like, he's admitted it. He's like, yeah, I cry a lot. I don't mind it. It's just who I am. And I'm like, I feel that, my dude. I'm here for it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but Spencer's crying in the line before they go in. Brighton is not a fan of that
No.
and makes it known. Why are you
Like,
crying? Stop crying.
stop crying.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah. So they go in, right? And this is like the only time all season I was like, it's not my favorite moment from Brighton that he has. Because not that he did anything wrong, because I like somebody had to be the jerk, you know. But they kind of strong arm Spencer into picking the umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
The three of them, 344, 432, and 452, all three of them together do that. Um, and by the time they get their shapes picked, Spencer is emotional again. He is
Mm-hmm.
not happy. I believe he said he felt like he was gonna throw up.
Oh, he kept gagging, literally. And
Hmm.
I was like, oh God, please. Please
It
stop
was
doing that.
it was a little dramatic, but I was kind of here for it. I'm not
It
gonna
was
lie.
it was so dramatic. Uh, 452 ends up getting the circle. 432 ends up getting the triangle. 299 gets the umbrella, and 344 gets the star. I was like, okay, look, and I understand nobody wanting the umbrella, but eventually somebody has to get the umbrella. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So it's like I
I
wasn't
was
mad at Spencer for just like picking the umbrella because it's like I like you said, I would rather have a chance than just die because I'm being stubborn and don't want to pick a shape.
Well,
Um
I'm gonna ask you a question though, Lana.
mhm.
Okay, if you were gonna play Dalgona, which of the shapes would you want? Because there are shapes that are easier, but I do think there are some of the easier shapes are easier than others. So I'm curious which one
No,
you think you would be the
I
easiest
want
for
to pick the
you.
triangle, honestly, because I
Mhm.
feel like the triangle is the easiest one. I just cut out the middle and you know try to start at the middle and then start on the outer sides just to
Mhm.
cut out the triangle. For me, I think the triangle will be easy. The circle seems easy, but it's like if you just did that one, you can
Mhm.
break a whole circle. I would try
I
the triangle.
honestly think the circle is harder than the triangle and the star. And people are like, "Oh, it's easier than the star." The star is still just rigid straight lines. You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
it's not like you to do the curve. The circle always just seemed really hard to me because the hardest part in the umbrella is the handle,
Right,
right? And the circle is literally just one big handle.
right.
But if I was gonna pick, obviously I'd pick the triangle, obviously the easiest shape. But if you can't pick the triangle, take that star. Just
Take the star.
take the
Just take
star.
the star. Yeah,
I
the
would
circle will be
never
my
do the
last.
circle
Circle and
ever.
umbrella would be like, I don't want those. I want the star or I want the triangle. If I can't get either one of them, I'm gonna be upset.
Call me crazy, but I think I'd rather have the umbrella than the circle, to be honest. I think the
Mm-hmm.
umbrella at least has lines on it that are findable, right? That are like
Mm-hmm.
doable. Because, I mean, to me, it's always start with the handle. If you break the handle, oh well. Once you get the handle out, you can get the top of the umbrella, like
Yeah, I
at
agree.
that point. But the circle is just tiny little, like poke the entire time. I don't
Right,
like
and you
that.
trying to go? Yeah, I would.
Mhm.
I would. No, I agree with you. So they people are pissed. 411 is in the line going off. She's like, he shook hands with the villain. You don't shake hands with a villain. Like that was my favorite line of the
Well, because
day.
everyone is talking about him at this point, right? All of
Yep.
them are like, no one's a fan of him really, outside of his little like brotourage that
Right.
exists. Um,
Exactly.
which again, not getting into any of that, none of my business in terms of like the personal connections between these players other than what's shown on the show.
Right.
Um, but a lot of people are targeting 432 at this point. He seems like public enemy number one for a lot of people. And
Hmm.
I get her reaction. I do think it was a little overblown, but hey, it's reality TV. I appreciate a little bit of overblown reactions sometimes. Um,
I,
so the lines start doing their shapes. You know,
hmm.
they go in one line at a time, so they each have the same shape. Um, and you know, for the most part, it's pretty much what you would expect. Most of the triangle people make it through. Some of the star people, some of the circle people, and like two or three people from the umbrella group. Um, it was like I don't want to say it was rough to watch some of these people lose. Um, but we lose 101 and 134 here. The two people who just sent home
Yeah.
200, which
Hmm.
I was like, that's some instant karma if I've ever seen it in my life.
Exactly.
um, we also lose Spencer 299, who we just got some focus on, but like I kind of figured, you know, but by the fact that he got that umbrella, I kind of figured.
I mean, it was so dramatic how Spencer left. I mean, he was doing really well getting that umbrella, and then he picked it up and was starting to take it like in his
Mm-hmm.
hand. To me, I was like,
Just
no, you
leave it in
need
the
to keep it in the
10.
can. Leave it in the
Yeah.
can because if you pick it up, it's easier to break. Leave it in the can. And he was just like looking at people like this was such a dramatic moment in this whole thing. The way he was looking at people like, and then when they break, he look over and was like, and then he'll
His
go back.
special shout outs to Spencer's reaction when he did end up breaking the umbrella, because one, that's went viral. That's turned
Yes.
into a little TikTok meme. Secondly,
Oh!
Okay, to be fair, okay, if you just lost a chance at $4.5 million, what would your reaction be? You know, like, because people have been making fun of him, and granted, a lot of these people had like pretty good reactions to getting eliminated,
Mm-hmm.
but Spencer, like, that's how I would feel. I would be like shocked, right? Now,
Shocked,
granted, I
yes.
probably wouldn't like be about to throw up nauseous, but
I mean,
like
that's the
people
thing with
react to
Spencer.
stress in different ways, you
He was
know?
just like, I'm almost done. I'm almost done. Oh, I was like, oh my God, really? And he's like,
I wanted him to make it through though
I did
so
too.
badly because he would have been somebody like I could have just imagined like him and 432 having some conflict in games. I don't think Spencer would have ever gotten into like a verbal altercation with him or anything because he seems very non-confrontational. But
Right.
I just think it would have been really interesting from like a storyline perspective, but like it's just not how it happened. So I appreciate that. Um but yeah, we don't lose too many of the other characters we've gotten to know
Mm-hmm.
here outside of 101 and 134, which
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that'd be cool. Dash, on the other hand, let's talk about Dash real quick. Dash making it out in like 2 seconds left at the end,
Oh
getting
my
that
God.
last little bit broken off. I was terrified. I
I
was
was
sitting there like,
terrified.
no, 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 no,
No,
no, please,
no,
no, please,
no,
no,
not
please,
Dash.
please.
Not like, I was like, come on, Dash, you can do it. You can, because see, like I said, I didn't watch the original Squid Game, so I didn't know what this challenge entailed, and so everybody was just like licking, 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 spitting, spitting, spitting. I was like, what are we doing? But I'm like, oh, it softens it. You can manage it, and I was like, come on, Dash, do what you got to do. Spit on it, lick it. Do what you got to do. Get that out of that, And Dash's hands was just shaking, shaking. And I was like, oh God, no, not this soon. I couldn't handle it. But 1 second, Dash like, I got it. And I was like,
See, part of me, right? Again, this is just knowing how org people are sometimes. Part of me is wondering if Dash actually had that shape cut out for like the last like 10, 15 seconds, and then he went in his dramatic TV moment. But I mean, I don't think that's what happened. But if it was what happened, I would not blame this man whatsoever because we all want that moment.
well, I plan on having Dash here on the show at some point very soon, so we can ask him that. I will make sure to ask him that very question if that was a last minute thing or that you had it already ready, but you wanted the drama of it all. And I wouldn't be mad at it if it was the drama of it all,
I
honestly.
appreciate the drama, you
Me
know.
too. It was
Um,
good.
so, yeah, so we finish up Dalgona. We
Mm-hmm.
move on to the next part of the episode, and we ended up losing 69 nice people in
Nice.
Dalgona. Not to mention the other 8 people who had been eliminated beforehand during the negotiations part. So we
Yep.
ended up losing 77 people total. Um, which again, these people are dropping like flies, but it also
Yep.
kind of makes it a little bit more compelling because now we get to focus a little bit more on individual people. Um, this is when we start getting a little bit more time with Figgy, which is really fun. I actually really enjoyed Figgy on this season. Um, and we
Mm-hmm.
also get to see that she has a pretty solid relationship with 301 Trey.
Mm-hmm.
They have like a really solid relationship. If you don't remember who Trey is, Trey's part of the mother and son with Leanne Queen, 302. So,
Oh, I think you're jumping a little bit.
oh, am I?
You're jumping a little bit. You move to the next episode, but we're not there yet.
Oh, we gotta talk about the phone. Yeah,
Because
okay.
we do. We have little beefs coming between 198 and 432. They have a little spat going back and forth because 198 calls 432 Brighton a frat boy. 198 is Husan or Hussein as was his name. And
Hmm.
he calls Brighton a frat boy, and Brighton takes offense to that. Was like, if you call me a frat boy one more time, I ain't gonna put my hands on you in here because I'm trying to win $456 million. But when we leave here, I just might. And his son is like, all right, frat boy, whatever. And it was a little thing. And
Hmm.
so they had a little fight. And then we do have the emergence of the Gangu gang in this episode,
Hmm.
which is 204, 209, 446, 243, 232, and 031. They formed their alliance, the Gangu gang, and they're like, we'll just go we go do this. That's what we want to do. And
I'll be honest, just from a me perspective,
mm-hmm.
did not like this alliance. Um, and nothing against any of these people. One, I don't know you, and
Right,
two, all I can talk about is the edited portrayal of you on the show, right?
right,
But what it felt like they were trying to force us down this like this is a heroic group of people
right.
alliance thing
Yep,
versus like the edit that they were giving to Brighton's little brotourage,
right,
right? Which again, I don't mind that. I definitely think you need heroes and villains on a show like that. But there were so many other people that were so much more compelling to watch as heroes to me than this group of people. Because one, Dash is already getting a pretty good hero edit too. We're getting really in. I'm getting really into Trey and Leanne. I think both of them are super compelling. Um,
mm-hmm.
Figgy gets a little bit more screen time later, but she was really fun to watch while she was here. And
Right,
like, there are just people that are here that are really fun and entertaining that could have been like separate from like. Also, um, we don't get to meet him for a little bit, but TJ is also a really cool, like, really smart guy.
right.
That him and his whole group of people are all just fantastic to watch television. Um, so yeah.
One and somebody else who we did not mention, who I felt like was a they were trying to portray as a villain character, but I kind of liked him anyway. Was player 161 Lorenzo. I thought Lorenzo was hilarious. Lorenzo was uh,
Man out here stealing food.
take your food. He went, grabbed the thing, put it under his bed, went and grabbed another one, ate that, went and grabbed the one he hid, ate that, went and sat by people, and he was like, don't throw nothing away. And they were like, oh, you want it? So he was eating the leftovers of other people and their food. This man was
This man
making
probably had like
sure,
4 or 5 portions of that
yeah,
food,
of
honestly.
that food. And you
And
know what? I ain't mad
somebody
at it.
clocked him. I don't remember who it was that clocked him
It
doing
was
that.
Jada. It was Jada
Was it Jada?
clocking.
Okay.
It was Jada
There
clocking.
was a group of people over there talking. I could not remember who they were offhand because I did not take notes. But like I'm just sitting there because this is something that happened on the actual show, right? And because they prepared just enough portions so everybody can have one, right?
Mm,
And on the show, this like very clearly the villain group on the show get back in line, steal the last 5 people's portions of food, and then one of the people whose food they steal gets murdered by one of those guys in a fit of rage. But beside the point. So when I saw him do that, I'm like, someone's watched the actual show. I
mm-hmm,
cannot be mad
mm-hmm.
about that. Um, but yeah,
It was
so
actually
but he was really entertaining during this portion of the show. This part of the show, I was interested in him. Later on, not as much. Um,
I mean,
because the
we'll get to
we'll
it.
get
We'll
to
get to it.
it. Yeah.
But then we also have the emergence of Dr. V, player 330, Ken, who is he's just a doctor, and he was trying to, you know, keep people stress free and show them how to do exercises and things to, for breathing and all those other things. I didn't mind that, but listening to his confessionals kind of made me not like him, in my opinion. I was like,
You could tell
huh.
this man's got a big ego.
But that's literally what I wrote. I said he's a bit arrogant, in my opinion, but he's good socially. Like, because
Hmm.
people actually listened to him, they liked him because he was a doctor. Made sense. You trust your doctors, you listen to your doctors. And it was just like, all right. I don't know how I feel about him, but to me, he came off as a bit arrogant, in my
Oh, I
opinion.
agree. 100% agree. Um, so
So
let's
then
touch
they
on how.
bring the phone in. All of a sudden, they bring this phone in on a thing, and everybody's
Well,
like, "Go
anybody
ahead."
who, for me, right, the second they brought that phone in, I don't know, again, random Brook reference for the episode, but it's a black rotary phone, and if you've seen the black phone, like that movie, I was like, ugh,
I have not seen the black phone, but I know for me, if I was in there and they brought the phone in there, I'm steering away from it. I don't
I
want to
am
go
not
anywhere near
touching
it.
it.
I'm not touching it. I'm not even looking at it. I know nothing good can come from this. I'm not looking at it. I don't want to do it. So I wouldn't do it. But you know who did want to do it? Player
198.
198. He
Oh,
wanted to do
also,
it. Go ahead.
quick note though. So the show only shows the phone ring twice.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, the phone rang 4 times.
Oh,
Now I don't know who picked it up the other times. It's from what I've been told. Apparently, it was him all 4 times. Um,
wow.
but I could be wrong from what I've read online. Um, but each time the phone rang, the first 3 times, it was food, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the first time it rings, it's 2 burgers and some fries, and they devour that tray like a pack of vultures. Um,
Jada takes the burger
Jada steals the burger.
and
Also,
walks away. Come to find
apparently,
out, Jada said she only took one bite of that burger and then handed it off, and they passed the burger around. But the fact that she was the one savage enough to take the burger, and
yeet.
and she said that he was asking if there was a halal burger because he is Muslim and he doesn't eat meat. And so he asked, and he wasn't going to eat the burger anyway because it wasn't
Mhm.
a burger that he could eat, which we found out later they did end up bringing him a burger that he could eat later,
Mhm.
a halal burger, because he could eat the burgers that they brought. And so he
Yep.
wasn't going to eat them anyway. So her taking it didn't matter. And
Mhm.
she said she took one bite and passed it around, and everybody else took a bite, and it was what it was.
So apparently, the second one was a pizza, and I cannot remember what the third one was. Um, which is why when he picks up the phone, the fourth ring, right, which the second ring on the show, but the fourth ring overall, and he picks it up and is like, "You are now eligible for elimination. You have 2 minutes to get somebody to pick up the phone." Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why he decided to tell everybody that it was a chocolate muffin,
Mm-hmm.
which I was like,
Well,
not
because I'm
you
like, a
could have went
chocolate muffin? I won't
you
want
could
no
have went
muffin.
bigger than that. You could have went bigger than that.
But
If you would have been like, yeah, it's a freaking steak with some like garlic mashed potatoes
right,
and like some good quality gravy or something like that, I bet you there would have somebody there that would have snapped on that. But
right.
at this
Um,
point, apparently people were freaked out by this guy because he was, bold enough to pick up the phone multiple times. Um,
and that is where episode 3 comes in, because episode 3 starts right now. So 53 minutes, all right.
we get
All
that
right.
classic Netflix cliffhanger into the next episode ending.
And yes, and that was what we do in Netflix. Um, so we come back to see player 198 standing there holding his phone like he's at risk now. And so he's trying to figure out
Keep the
what,
poker face, my guy.
no, because it was the worst face ever. He looked like, when he tried to bring it in, but by that time everybody was like, oh no, no.
Well, okay, there were 3 girls that were over there beside him when he answered the
Mm-hmm.
phone. I think they heard the phone
I think
because
so.
one of them said, "I'm just gonna walk
Walk
away now,"
away.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I was like, "Oh yeah, no, you're done. Nope, no, 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 you're dead. Bye. Go home."
And his mistake to me was he didn't go to anybody who was his friends. He went to
Mhm.
people who he didn't like. He went to people who he just met, and he was just like, "Hey, anybody want a chocolate muffin? Here." He tried to get 432 to pick up the phone because that's who he wanted to eliminate in the first place. 432
Mhm.
was having nothing of the sort. It was like, nah, nah.
Mhm.
So he went to a couple of more people, and some people were interested. We saw Darius was very interested at one point to take this phone because he wanted the chocolate muffin, apparently. And he almost got him, and they were like, "No!" People were like, "Don't do it, don't do it." And he was like, "But why? I should. It's a muffin. I want it." And they were like, "No, no." So he got a couple of people who was almost interested, but
Mhm.
eventually they were like, "Nah, never mind. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it." And that 2 minutes run out, and he gets eliminated.
Yeah, I mean, by the time it got to that point, I kind of figured,
Yeah.
because if you have been doing this, running around the room like a chicken with your head cut off for 2 minutes and nobody's even close other than one person,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you're probably going. And I
Yeah.
feel like his storyline was kind of wrapped up anyway.
Yeah.
He just played a little bit too risky and it cost him. I think that, it feels pretty accurate to what we saw on the show.
Yeah.
Um, so up until this point, all of the challenges have been lockstep with what was on the show, right?
Yeah.
First challenge was red light, green light. Second challenge was doggone. So everybody is thinking the next challenge is going to be tug of
Tug
war,
of
which
war.
is what was next on the show. Now, to be fair, I think they assumed that it wouldn't be like over a pit of death like it was on the show, but
Still tug of war
still
nonetheless.
tug of war.
And following the map on the walls that they had, because tug of war was
Mhm.
literally the next thing on the map after the cookie game. And so
Mhm.
everybody was like, it's got to be tug of war. It only makes sense for it to be tug of war because that's what was next on the show. That's
Mhm.
what's next on the wall. It's tug of war. So everybody
Well,
started focusing on tug of war.
and on the show, the original show, right? They had those little character model versions of each of the games, and they were meant to be like hints to the players what was coming next. Here, I think they deliberately misled these people, and I'm here
Mhm.
for it.
Of
Because again,
course.
the thing that I really appreciate about Squid Game is it's not fair. It's not
Hmm.
pretending to be fair. But the thing is, it's unfair for everyone. And it's kind of like the syndrome argument of superheroes here of like, if it's unfair for everyone, then it's completely fair. And I
Right.
appreciate that.
I
Um,
mean, I feel like when they do this, because Squid Games had been out, people have a reference point to go back to watch it. So of course they can't just give you the same thing over and over again because then people expect they know what's going to happen. They're prepared for something. It's like no, you need to expect the unexpected element in games like this. And it's for $4.56 million. You don't have time to you can't just let everybody know this is the order we're gonna play it in so you can make sure you're prepared for every no, we need people to be surprised. We want the reactions to be genuine when they see that what they think it is may or may not be what it is. And I kind of love it. I live for it. It was so good because we do get to see the genuine reactions of people when they think it's one thing, see it's another thing, and it's like, oh,
mhm.
what I thought was it ain't it. And now I have to readjust my mindset on how to do this now. And so it was interesting to see because everybody was like, it's tug of war, it's happening. We go get ready for it. We also
Mhm.
see the bond between Rick and Steven grow. Like they have come together and was like, I trust you. I want to work with you, blah, blah, blah. They're going, and then this is where we saw Figgy and Trey have their conversation and their bond grow with Trey asking Figgy if something happens to him, could she look out for his mom? And I was like,
Mhm.
oh, that is so sweet. And Figgy, I did enjoy Figgy in this episode and on this game because she was like, I just want to be a safe base for people. And if I'm a safe base for someone, they'll be a safe base for me. And we can all just like grow in this alliance. So I want to be a safe base for people. And people really did like Figgy. A lot of people were like, Figgy is great. Figgy is amazing. Figgy was great. So people were excited about Figgy. And that made me excited about it.
And I
So,
think part of that comes with the experience of having been on Survivor already, is that she
mm-hmm.
already kind of has an idea of how to play a social game.
Yep.
And I think, it's been a while since MVGX. I'm pretty sure it's been like 7 or 8 years now. Um, and you can tell she's learned from that and like been
Mm-hmm.
able to like adjust how she is in this like social game. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you've watched MVGX, like, ooh girl, she needed some help. But out here trying to marry a man she met 15 days ago. But hey, props to her. But it was really interesting because I definitely think Figgy was a person like, if you were to tell me, oh yeah, somebody from Survivor is gonna be on this season of the Squid Game, Figgy would not have been one of the people that immediately jumped to my head. But I think she was actually a really good choice. I
mm-hmm.
like, she felt like somebody who had a little bit of experience in the reality TV world, But it wouldn't be somebody that would pull in numbers, right? I think they just casted her because she's a really likable person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that really helped her here because this next game is
Something else.
honestly, this is probably my favorite twist of the season.
Yeah.
So they get told to come in and they have to get into equal groups of, I don't remember the exact
15.
number, 15.
15 people per line. Yep.
15 people per line. Apparently, some drama happened here that we were
A
not told
lot
about.
of drama
A
happened
lot of
here.
drama happened here because it didn't really make the edit.
No.
But Dash 141
Mm-hmm.
was in with a group of people in an alliance that he would later, talk about it later.
TJ, Chaney, Darius, mm-hmm.
And
Jess.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and they kicked Dash off their team because
Yep.
they thought it was tug of war.
Yep.
And Dash ended up having to go to a different group. So when that happened, Dash got mad, as one does.
As one does when you get
Um,
kicked out of a group that you
yeah,
thought were your friends.
exactly. And then they walk into the room and they see Battleship. They call it Warship. Let's just call it Battleship.
Warships.
Let's just call it Battleship. It's Battleship.
They call it warships.
That is the non-Hasbro owned version of Battleship.
Warships. And it was crazy because even like you said, even getting in that line was stressful because like people were like they didn't want to move lines. They knew it had to be equal. And I'm like, if y'all don't get these lines, y'all go get eliminated. So get in a line, make it 15. And TJ emerged at this moment was like, look, you all need to think about everybody, not just yourself. Get in a line, make it equal. We can all make it, and we can all play the game. And he was being motivational, and they finally did agree to get in they got in their equal lines of 15. And yeah, so the first line picked to go was line 3 and line 1. So they went head to head, and line 1 was all the strong guys, a couple of girls on the team, but mostly 432's pick that he wanted. His guys, his bros, they were all in this line, and they were like, "Tug war, we're about to do this." And then they walk in and realize, nope, no, no, this is not tug of war.
Let's be honest here.
Yes.
This is way more entertaining to watch than Tug of War.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm not mad. I am actually ecstatic because the first two games, right, are speed and dexterity.
Yep.
This is pure strategy, right? And a little bit of luck.
Right. Strategic and luck.
Yeah. And I might be jumping ahead a little bit here, but can we talk about B for a second, real quick?
No, we got to stay. I want to stay in line. We'll get to B because I want to stay in line because like I don't want to jump ahead, but B is a very important conversation to talk about her. Yeah. But we got to stick with here because right here, they have to pick a captain, and then the captain picks a lieutenant, and they are going to lead their teams in war games, in warships. And
games.
War games. Yeah. So
you can tell Survivor Series is still in our minds.
Still in my mind. I still love. I'll probably watch it later on this week. Line 1 picks 220 Jess and 352 as the lieutenant, and then line 3 picks 337 Brad as their captain, and he picks 178 as their lieutenant. So Brad is like, this is not about brute strength. It's straight about you have to use this to win this game. Everybody is okay with the captain's choice, and they're very ready to go. 220 decides that she was like, look, I've played this game. I played this with my brothers. I know this game. I can do it. So they agreed to let her do it. And when the game starts, it was a lot of misses at the beginning, typical for some.
Mm-hmm.
But the first team to sink a ship was line 3. And they sink their 5-person boat, which was player 68, 41, 422, 447, and 452. They're eliminated.
And
So
to be
go ahead.
clear, though, the important thing about this challenge, though, that we didn't say, though, is you're not eliminated until your entire boat is sunk,
Yes.
right? The only thing that the winning team matters for is whichever team loses, their captain and their lieutenant are eliminated.
Yes.
So even if your team loses, if your boat's still up at the end, you're
You're
fine
still
because you
good.
only have to sink 2 of the other team's boats.
Yes.
But yeah, sorry, just want to make sure that was
Oh no,
noted
no, you're
because
right.
it,
That's
it was kind
perfectly.
of weird. I'll be honest. I
Mm-hmm.
I liked how they did it. I think it made it cooler, but it was almost like a little off to me. But I'm just fine with it.
It was awkward for moments of when a team loses,
Mm-hmm.
but or even when a team wins, but they lose a boat. So when they win and they lose a boat, they're celebrating, but that boat that was sunk is
Still
done.
out.
They're
They're still
eliminated.
out. Yeah.
And so they're celebrating, and the other people are looking at them like, well, good for you guys. We're gone. And then the losing team as well, it's like they didn't get their boat sunk, but they see the other two boats that are sunk, and they get to just soak back on into the
Mm-hmm.
to the dorm while their captain, their lieutenant, and the two boats are done. So it was kind of weird, but kind of I ain't gonna say I kind of live for it.
Mm-hmm.
But then Line 3 sinks their second ship, which was 432 Brighton and 270, and they are eliminated along with their captains of 220 and 352.
It was. This is peak television for me. Okay,
Peak,
peak television
peak.
because not only do that, I mean, I'll be honest, the villain gets got. It just happened. He
With
also played this so smart. Don't be the captain. Don't be the lieutenant. Get in the two-person boat. That is like the best strategy here, and he still.
I mean, the crazy part of it, you lose, and it has nothing to do with like you couldn't do anything to
Mm-hmm.
control that. Like your destiny was out of your hands. You
Mm-hmm.
literally had to stand there and just let it happen. That is the worst way for anybody who is competitive to go out of a game. You lose, and you have nothing to do with it. You just
So
lose.
Brighton has been very public on his interviews that he was not happy with how his captain and lieutenant were playing the game.
Mm-hmm,
Uh,
mm-hmm.
the captain and lieutenant have pushed back at that, so there's been a little bit of post-show drama with that. Um, but again, Brighton made the show better by being a really good villain.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Allegedly, there is a rumor going around that he is already being scouted for the next season of the challenge.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised. He's perfect build for it. And they do love a good villain over there, so I cannot be mad at any of that. If he does end up being on the challenge, cool, great for him. Happy
Cool
for the
for
guy.
him. Mm-hmm.
So that's the end of the first game. The first game was pretty close actually.
Yeah, first game was pretty close.
Because both teams sunk a boat. Game 2.
TJ is picked as the captain, and he picks 254 as his lieutenant. And we see 369 and 269, or 264, I'm sorry, are the captain and lieutenant for the other team. This blue team, man.
They got.
No, they were the winning team. The red team got
No, the red team. The red team got. Sorry.
Red team got. Like the blue team lost nobody. No, the red team. Red team was the team who won. I'm sorry. TJ team was the red team. The blue team was the one that got. They got. The red team lost no boats. We lost 186, 187, and 433, and then 136, 135, and 386.
Yeah,
we lost all of them, and the captain 396 and 264.
Yeah, and like again, it was just really cool to watch because I think part of it. I mean, obviously, anytime you're playing a game like this, there is some luck involved.
Yeah, yes.
But also, he did a really good job with placing his shots. And I can't be mad at it. He did the thing.
He did it. Lorenzo kind of got on my nerves in this one, talking about the affirmations, like, let's just Squid Game. Stop giving these positive affirmations. Let's just play. I was like, You lucky you on his team because you would be
Mm-hmm.
gone if you weren't. But whatever, Lorenzo. But then we
Mans was
move.
annoying.
Then we move because this is the group that Brooke wanted to talk about very clearly, and this
I
is
have never in my life ever felt so thoroughly outclassed at anything ever because B comes up, right? Who
yes,
is someone we have
zero
spent
18,
zero time with, no
none.
time with, okay?
Don't know who are.
Don't know her, could not, I could see this
Could
woman walking down the street,
I
would
wouldn't know
not
that
know.
woman.
Wouldn't know that woman. She, this is a Kiki Palmer stan account, let's be
Yes,
clear.
period.
So she, she becomes the captain of her team because she says she plays a lot of games and she knows how to play strategy. Now, again, we heard that earlier, so I did not
Mm-hmm.
have the highest hopes. She is a machine.
She
She does. She puts her ships out. She puts one at each corner, and she says, for some reason, everyone when they play this game will always start
always
with
C
C3.
three.
What does
And
the
what
other
did they
team
start
do?
with? C
C3.
three. I was like, she was
I
like,
was
this is what I
livid.
do. Like, she's
Yeah.
like, this is what I do. I am a game analyst. This is what I do. And I was like, oh, y'all couldn't have been more lucky to get on her team. Like, let her lead, shut up, and let her do this. She picked 019 as her tap. So 18 and 19, captain, lieutenant,
Mm-hmm.
period. The red team picks 057 and 434. They sink their first ship and they sink their five-person ship, the blue team, and it's 438, 435, 267, 350, and 034, all eliminated. And
And
then he sinks another ship. Like the red team again lost. The blue
no
team loses
casualties.
no one.
Mm-hmm.
Blue team loses no one. They sink their second ship. It's 362, 226, and 357, all eliminated, along with 057 and 434 as the captain lieutenant, all gone.
Mm-hmm. And again,
Again.
she has instantly become on my radar because
Yes.
this is somebody because I mentioned it earlier. To be clear, episodes 6 through 10 did drop today.
Today.
We have not had the time to watch them, so be
No.
aware of that. This is only from the perspective of people who have watched episodes 1 through 5. She's in a very good spot that I think she could win.
Mm-hmm.
Because when from what we've seen in the rooms, because now after this episode, we do get a little bit more time with her in the room. We get her more perspective on confessionals and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She is getting a very good edit,
Yes.
right? And it's not like a hero Gongbu Gang style edit. It's like she's very smart. She's
Strategic.
got very good reads. She's very
Mm-hmm.
strategic. She is somebody I could see making it to the end and winning, and it would not shock me because the things she did here were insane, crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yep.
and then we get to the last group.
Let's so the red team, they pick Brownie 258 as the captain and 273 as the lieutenant. Let me just say, I'm a Brownie fan. I thought she was I liked her. I
I
really
liked her
liked her.
too. Yeah.
And then the blue team picks Dan 204 as the captain and 375 as the lieutenant. Now they
Dan
all are Gambu gang everything.
Dan also a org person from what I've been told. Plays a lot of Facebook
Mm.
orgs, but is still an org
Oh,
person.
okay.
So I saw that recently. I don't remember. I was not aware of him, but apparently he's a Facebook
Mm-mm.
org
Okay.
person. Um,
Good on Dan.
this is the closest game we got
Yes.
because they
Yes.
were going back and forth, and
Oh.
at the very end, right?
Okay, well, let's start with
Sorry.
the red team who sinks their first ship. They sink their first ship in 218 and 414 is eliminated.
Mm-hmm.
And then the blue team turns around and sinks their first ship, which 103, 248, 297, 033, and 035 is eliminated.
Importantly, 033 is
Is
Figgy,
Figgy.
which I was bummed. Also, they gave her the same
Sad.
number as her Survivor
Sad.
season,
Oh,
which
I
that's
didn't
funny.
realize that. That's insane. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
but because people asked her after if they got to pick their numbers, and they're like, "No, they just gave me that number. I pretty much knew what it was for, but they gave me that number."
That's
Um,
so funny. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So R.I.P.
Here it
Figgy.
is. R.I.P.
Yeah.
Figgy. But yeah, go ahead. Talk about this
Um.
last round.
So the last round, I'm not gonna remember the colors. I'm just gonna identify them by their captains.
Yeah,
Brownie and them hit a
red
shot
team.
on the blue team boat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's in the bottom portion of the map. Okay.
Yep.
Now, do they have anything around it shot? No. But do they have? They have found a hit, right? So the
Mm-hmm.
blue team's firing. They're missing all over the place, right? Red team shoots around that boat. They roll pretty terribly, and it takes them until they get to the last possible direction they can go to shoot the boat, right? So they start going, right? And we know it's a three-person boat. They don't know that, but we know it's a three-person boat, right? So they get the first two shots, and in the meantime, the blue team has gotten two shots on the red team boat. But the problem is it could be one of two spots on the blue team
F5
side. It's
or
a
F8.
pure it's a pure 50-50. They have no idea which one to go with. Most of the people on the blue team are saying to go F5 because it's in the middle of the board, yada yada yada. The only person on the blue team who says they should go F8 is Rick,
Yep.
right? Who has been getting a bit of an edit here with Steven. Um, Almost like the old man and the main protag of Squid Game. I forget their names. It's been 2 years. Um, but they're getting that like kind of like friendship, wise teacher, young student kind of edit. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and Rick, they ask Rick, "What do you think?" And he's like, "F8." And everybody's like, I don't know about that, Rick. I don't know. And the captain of the team considers it because he wanted to pick F5 too.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point in my head, I'm thinking, okay, if they miss and red team goes to go again, they're gonna win,
Yeah.
right?
Because
And I'm
they
like,
knew where to go.
I just wanted Brownie to come back. I didn't
Me
really care about the
too.
rest of these people, so I was
Honestly,
like,
I
Brownie,
wanted
come
Brown to
on,
come back. I
come
was like,
on.
the Gumbo gang can miss. Hit F5. Please hit F5.
And they picked F8. And granted, was it a really cool moment for Rick? Yeah,
It was
sure.
a great
Made the
moment for
edit
Rick.
too. It was a great moment for Rick. And again, no problems with Rick as a person, but it was like, we had to lose Brownie, who was really cool in the little bit of time we got to see her. I really enjoyed her. Um,
Yeah.
but
And so
at the end of the day,
we end up losing 107, who was killing in these challenges,
hmm
Teo, and
hmm
we lose 194 and 367. They were eliminated
we
along with 258 and 273.
we didn't even mention it earlier either. Teo had the umbrella. He was one
Yep.
of the very few people that made it through Doggone on the umbrella. But yeah, he just I mean again he got on worship and it is what it is.
And
But
you want to know what's funny about this? Remember when Trey made a comment that the three people he wanted to go in the cookie game came back?
mhm.
The three people he wanted to go left in warships,
Yeah. And Trey made it through.
and Trey made
Oh,
it through.
also, quick note, Trey and Leanne, okay, in their round, I forget which round it was, but they had
TJ.
one shot. Yeah, TJ's round. They had one shot left on that boat,
Yep.
and or else both of them would have went home, and they were in the same boat.
Yep.
And I would have been so sad because Leanne had. We'll get to why in a second. Leanne
Mm-hmm.
has quickly became one of my favorite reality TV people all year.
I love her.
She has like shot up my rankings because not only is she like she's older, she's in her
Mm-hmm.
like 50s or 60s, but
Mm-hmm.
she's smart. She is like whip smart.
She's a
She
whip.
is strategic. She
Yep.
is out gaming these kids. Right? She
And
is
she is
rolling.
ruthless, and she has no problem being cutthroat, and I
hmm
love it.
And we'll talk about the big moment
Mm-hmm.
for her actually now, right? That's
Right
the
now,
next
because
day.
episode 4 starts, because well, everybody comes every after the game is over, everybody comes back, and
We lost 45 people
we
grand total
go
in
from
worship.
118 to 73 people.
I lived. I lived.
73 people. So we are now up to a prize pot of $3.83 million after
Mhm.
warships. And so we move to episode 4 at 120.
Mhm.
Um, Episode 4. Here we go. Because now everybody's in the dorm and everybody's like, okay, what do we have next? What games is coming up? And we get an announcement. And the announcement says that there are going to be 2 tests within the next 2 days, and they're all going to happen in the dorm. So they're going to be in the dorm for the next 2 days, and tests will be happening throughout the day. And so everybody's like, oh, okay, well, now what? For me, when somebody says something like that, I'm like, oh, this is all about social because we're not able to go anywhere. We're just sitting here talking to each other all day.
Mm-hmm.
And these 2 tests are about to happen here in this dorm. So this was just, it just screams social aspect to
Mm-hmm.
me at this point.
And again, I know you haven't watched the show on it. On the actual show, right? This is the episode where things hit the fan for a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people on the actual show. The
And
entire episode is in the dark, right? At
mm,
nighttime, and the players attack each other, right?
oh,
It is a brutal, like you lose a lot of people in this episode in the actual show. Um, and I think this is the closest they could get to that without, like, having
right.
abject murder in the facility. So, yeah, like I was highly entertained.
Yeah.
Because again, this is the type of thing that I was worried we wouldn't get to see on a show like this. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, they can't kill people.
Of
Okay,
course.
who do they think they are? Who done it? So
Right.
if they, they can't kill people, so they can't have parts of the show that are like this. Part of the reason Squid Game was so compelling was even though they're in the challenges, right, and a lot of people will die in the challenges, people can die at any time. You never know, right?
Right.
So I think having these tests really help round out the show and make it more cohesive as a format than if they didn't have them and it was just the challenges that they're given.
Exactly. I agree 100%. It made it a very well rounded and a good format for me. Like I was like, I can follow along as somebody who's never watched the actual show and
Mm-hmm.
still know what's going on. It was really good, and I appreciated that because all of a sudden, the guards come in with this box and this a keypad on it. People were like, "Oh, it looks like an ATM," and some people were like, "I'm not touching that." And it was like, "Oh, you don't have a choice." But they brought
You
it
don't have a
in.
choice.
You don't have a choice but to touch it because guess what? Everybody has to touch it. So we find out that this box is going to be sitting in there, and everybody's going to have to line up and pick a player who they want to see eliminated.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where it got pretty interesting for me because um, player 374 decided that they were going to go around and tell people that, they kind of wanted to go. They were
Mm-hmm.
kind of done. And we kind of, yeah, I kind of want to get out of here. I don't know if this is for me. And then so,
Homie, you made it this far and now you want to leave? And
right, like
later we found out, like, during the
that
voting and stuff, that he had been, like, trying to portray himself as, like, a little bit weaker so
we,
people wouldn't see him as a thought, as like, a target, which that part made sense.
it makes
But
sense because if you're a gamer like myself, that I like to think I am, I'm
oh,
not
you
voting
are.
out somebody who said, like, I like to think I am, but I don't know.
Oh,
I'm
you
not
are.
voting out somebody who said they want to quit. Because if you go quit on your own time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
That has
Why would I
nothing to do
waste?
with me.
Has nothing to do with me. I'm not wasting my vote on somebody who already is on the verge
Mm-hmm.
of quitting. But so I understand why he did that, but I'm like, that's a risky strategy because
Mm-hmm.
everybody don't think the same way.
Yeah.
Some people are like, if you say you want to quit, I'm going, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna vote you out. Easy vote, no blood on my hands.
Mm-hmm.
Or you'll have the people who are like, I'm not gonna vote out nobody who go quit. They'll quit on their own eventually. And you don't know these people well enough to make that risk, to take that risk. But he took the risk.
So we go and we get told that they have the top 3 people
Yep.
who get voted out are going home.
Yep.
So 3:30, the doctor,
Mm-hmm.
he is like, does anybody not want to be here anymore? right? Do we want to come to a group consensus? And I'm sitting here like, homie, have you seen Survivor Kagayan? Do you know what happens when you try to get the group consensus going on? You end up going home. And I'm like,
I'm like, why do
mm,
you think you gonna get 70 something people to come up with a group consensus when 4.56 million dollars is on the line? Absolutely not. You're not gonna get nobody like, you know what? Yes, let's do this fairly. Let's all talk and come up with a name of three people whose numbers we're gonna all
mhm,
collect. No, that's not gonna happen in any situation. It ain't happening for
mhm,
4.6 or 5 6 million dollars. It ain't happening for $100,000. Baby, it ain't happening for $10,000. It
correct.
really ain't gonna happen for $10. Honestly, ain't nobody
Mhm,
gonna do that. Anytime money is on the line, ain't nobody gonna be like, "Oh, let's do a group consensus of
mhm.
all 70 of us and figure out which three we're all gonna vote for." Absolutely
And
not.
then you get the other moment, which they have 30 minutes to strategize before they vote. And during that
Mm-hmm.
time, people go and get some apples, you know, ready and
Mm-hmm.
prepped and stuff. And they bring them back. And Leanne was one of the people that was getting the apples. And 161 Lorenzo, aka the food stealing guy, if you forgot, um, he's pretty flippant and rude about it. I'm sitting here like, dude, she just bought you a freaking apple. You don't have to be mean. Like, just
Right.
let her. She's just being chill. And she said that is kind of rude, and she didn't appreciate that, right? And
I mean,
in
because
that
he,
moment, I'm like, oh God, she's gonna do it, isn't she? She's gonna be the queen.
I mean, because honestly, if you didn't want the apple, you'd be like, "Oh, no, thank you," and you could have walked away. Like
Hmm.
you ain't gonna be like, "I don't know apple. I didn't come from a freaking apple. What did I do that for?" You don't have to do all that. You could have been like, "Oh, I'm fine. No, thank you,"
Hmm.
and walked away, and it would have been dunces. Like it would have been over. But when I saw that look on Leanne's face, I was like, "Oh, she ain't like that. Oh, she ain't like that at all. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. You don't be rude when I'm trying to bring you apples.
Hmm.
I'm trying to help you out. I'm trying to give you nourishment, and you being rude." So
So we
go
we
ahead.
get to the vote, right? And
Mm-hmm.
this first guy up, I have never seen this man in my life.
Me either.
Again,
Sorry,
Fuller
I
can
don't
be
know this
here. He
man.
can walk down the street.
I don't
I
know
would
this
not know
man.
who this man.
Sorry to
But
that man.
sorry, we've just not gotten no screen time, my dude. It's okay. He votes for 374, right?
Oh,
And
Brooke, would you say he was?
purple, purple. Oh my god, this is literally the purple show. Oh my god, so many
uh,
people get purpled. Yay.
purple, purple, purple.
Okay, to be clear, we are only going to purple people that have been like that we actually can recognize as being purpled. Okay,
Right.
because so many people on this show get purpled. Like we
There's
can't
so
talk
many
about
people.
everybody. But
But
so the big twist of the voting though isn't the three people with the most votes. It's whenever somebody gets voted for the first time, their
the first
face gets
time.
put on the screen, so people are like, "Oh yeah, they got to vote," right? So everyone knows who the first person to vote for someone is. Nobody knows anything else,
Right.
right? So
Sick.
guy comes up, puts down 374, right? And
Makes sense.
people in confessionals are like, "Yeah, it's the safe choice. It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
irritating, but it's the safe choice." Leanne is second in line. She walks up to that screen. And for a moment, you're like, yeah, she's probably going to put 374, right? I didn't think that, but that's what people are saying,
I didn't think that.
on the confessionals. She gets a look on her face, a contemplative look, smiles, and puts
One
161
six one
8. Straight
eight
up 8
down.
down.
Eight down. I was like, yes, mother. Mother,
Because
you are doing it.
chef's kiss. Because, especially because, granted, this is a man who probably didn't like her to begin with, from what we've been
Right.
able to tell. But even on top of that, right? The big strategy, especially if you're an early player, right, in this vote, because later on, people who get their name written down before they come up there can vote for someone else that voted for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
They can counter. If 161 were to go up there and put Leanne's name down, she can't do anything about that. So
Mm-hmm.
by putting not only putting his name down, but giving some the people a second person to vote for, That's brilliant. So
Of
props to
course.
Leanne.
Props,
Seriously,
props.
because like you're incredible.
She ate
So
that down. I don't care. It was
ate,
funny.
left no crumbs, etc.
None.
So the next few people go. It's pretty much just voting for those two. Nobody's putting any other name down at this point
Until
until that.
until we get to Cheney.
Mm-hmm.
Because Cheney had
179.
179. Cheney has been going around during that 30 minutes of deliberation. And she was like, I don't know. I don't like him. I don't like how he's, you know, playing
Mm-hmm.
this, how he's tried to manipulate everybody into doing a group decision. I don't know. And he's got a lot of people following behind him. If we do this, we gotta stick together and do this. And Cheney was the first person in her alliance in the line.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's kind of like, okay, well, if somebody got to do it, might as well be me.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes and she does her thing and she makes the show out of it too. She goes, she puts her hand on her hip, she looked back,
Mm-hmm.
she looked back again, and she turned around and hit that keypad 330. And
See,
Dr. V's though pops up.
yeah, part of me, right? Because for whatever reason, when they were editing this, they had Dash in reaction like 3 or 4 times while she was
Mm-hmm.
looking at the thing. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
but we've not seen anything that would make me think she was going to write Dash's name down, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, we don't even know that the dramas happened because that happened
Right.
off screen, right?
Right.
So in my head, I'm thinking, oh, Dash is about to get voted up. What the hell, right? And then it's
Mm-hmm.
Dr. V. Oh, okay, that makes much more sense.
Right.
But but to me, it would be one of those like editing choices of why would you not just show Dr. V? But sure, whatever works for you, Squid Game.
Suspense.
Um,
Suspense.
yeah. So, and she also says she also wants to put a third name up there because
Yes.
it is the top 3 people with the most votes. It's not
Exactly.
just the top 2. And, if there's only 2 people in that last round, whoever that last person up there is going to just get to eliminate somebody of their choice. She doesn't want to let that
Exactly.
happen. Which, again,
Exactly.
8 down.
Damn. Smart. Very smart.
So people come up. For a while, it's just those 3. Lorenzo and Dr. V do put up Leanne and Cheney respectively.
Mm-hmm.
But at that point, you kind of knew.
Lorenzo thought he ate down with his little walking over to Leanne. I just wanted to make sure it's 302 or 302. She was like, it's the same thing. So I was like, tell him, mother. Like, he didn't eat down. She turned around and took all your plate. She took your plate and threw it at you. Like, give me that.
To me, if you're gonna say that line, you could have like made it actually hit, and you could have been like, "Oh, I couldn't remember your number. Sorry," and just go back and then put it in.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah,
I just wanted
like
to make
there's a
sure it was
much better way to
302.
drop that line. There's a
Right.
much better way to drop
Much
that
better.
line.
He kind of womp womp with that line. But
At least Dr. V was like, he said, "Yeah, I'm being petty. I don't care. I'm being petty," and he put down Cheney's name. He knew. I think
he
he knew
knew.
for sure.
Of course he
Yeah.
knew.
But the interesting part was not those votes. The
No.
interesting part was Dash's vote because Dash gets to the front, and you assume he's probably going to vote for one of the 3 people who've been getting votes, right?
Mm-hmm.
He puts down Cheney,
179.
which caught me completely off guard. I'll be honest.
Mm-hmm. It caught everybody
Um,
off guard because we didn't see the drama that happened beforehand.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it more after. When we can just go ahead and say Lorenzo, Dr. V, and Andy 374 were the people that ended up going home.
Yes.
Which no shocks there.
No
But
shock.
Dash says in his confessional, look, she's got a strong alliance of people with her. She is somebody that could be a threat to me later on. Why on earth would I not write her name down? Right. And I'm like, logic.
Makes
I appreciate
sense.
the logic because that makes sense.
Makes sense.
But and it was sus. The part that did not make sense was after the vote. So at first I thought Dash played it really well, right?
Mm-hmm.
When he goes and talks to Cheney and a few other people were over there too, and they ask him who he voted for. He's like, "Oh, I voted for 374," right?
Right.
which that is the safest answer you could
Of
possibly throw
course.
out. Yeah. And everybody seems to believe it,
Mm-hmm.
like nobody's really sus. Then Tash is in the locker room with like 4 or 5 other people.
Mm-hmm.
And in this moment, I'm like, this is the org player in you, Dash. You got to remember this kind of thing. Like, because the org people, right? Whenever any of the org people end up on a reality show, right? Consistently, they play, like, not everyone, but some people will play it like it's an org and everybody has, like, that strategic aspect in their head off the rip, right? I don't think everyone has that built into them. And I think a lot of people on this show in particular were playing a little bit more emotionally than they were strategically.
Mm-hmm.
So Dash is telling this group of people that he voted for Cheney and that she's somebody that he wants to target long term because she has got this group of people around her, right? Well, you told one person, you might as well told the entire facility because everybody knows about it in like 10 minutes. And I'm over there, I'm like, Dash, I get it. I understand. I totally understand where you're coming from. It was just bad timing, I think, and I think that ended up putting him in a worse spot than he should have been after that vote.
Okay, let me. I have to jump in on this part and talk about because everybody, um, Dash is. I'm a super fan. I'm a Dash fan, and I'm going to talk
Mm-hmm.
about it. And as somebody who knows Dash and have played games with Dash and who understands where Dash is coming from a lot, I think a lot of this was due to the editing and misconstrued a little bit because we
Mm-hmm.
did not see the drama and the beef with Cheney, TJ, Darius, Jess in
Mm-hmm.
that group before
Yeah.
and during the worship part. So we didn't see that in the edit, just so it didn't look like there was any beef. Now, to in that moment, Dash, according to other interviews that he has done thus far, was friends with them, working with them. Some people may not have wanted them to work with them so closely. It was one particular person in the group that didn't care much for Dash, but everybody else did, so they kind of went along with it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but after that situation happened, some other things happened where Dash heard some stuff from that group about him, which
Mm-hmm.
made him not really trust them anymore. So the fallout was like, you don't like me or you don't want me in your group. I don't trust you. So now, therefore, the alliance that we had is null and void in my head. And so a lot of people were looking at this, and I'm gonna say this: some of y'all online fans are just weird. I understood it because the second it happened, when Dash went to those group of women, it was all black women that he was talking to. Because I'm gonna say this: Dash is an ally for women of color, minorities, any minorities in the group, gay, queer, LGBTQI plus community. He is a part of that community. He wears his heart on his sleeve when it comes to being allies to people of color, the queer community, and all of that stuff. So he's an advocate for that. And I know in playing games with that, Dash will work with women of color every single time. Every single time. Like, I have never seen a game where Dash has played where he didn't ally with the women of color in that game, because that's just who he is and that's who he feels comfortable with and that's who he likes to play with. But in this instant, it looked like Dash was trying to pit black women against each other when he went to
Mm-hmm.
this group of black women and was saying Cheney has to go because Cheney is a power player. I voted for her, blah, blah, blah. But what we don't see in the edit is that those group of women were the people he was playing with in the game throughout the
Mm-hmm.
beginning. So they were friends with Dash. And it was one player, Lucia, who kind of, I think like you said, the strategic part, she was playing more emotional than strategic. And so she felt in the moment, and she even said it in some interviews afterwards, that in that moment she felt a little paranoid. And so she decided, maybe I need to go tell Darius, not Cheney, but she went and told Darius that this is what was going on, because some more inside tea that I've heard in other interviews, I don't think all the people got along with Cheney in this cast. And because Cheney was such a power player. And so I don't think it was Lucia trying to go save Cheney. It was just like in that moment, she didn't know if Dash was being real or genuine in the alliance that they built, but felt really like had a really strong case of, oh, maybe I should have done that the second she told Darius. So I kind of figured, like, when I watched, I was like, Dash, what? Like, have I not taught you anything? You don't go against black women. We don't do that. But then I was like, but this don't make sense, because Dash would never do that. So it didn't make sense to me watching it. And so I was kind of confused. But then after I heard the behind the scenes stuff, I'm like, oh, it makes sense. But even in that aspect of it all, the move was a good move because Cheney was a good power player. And she did have people willing to fight for her in this game. Why would you not try to break up an alliance that you know is an alliance? It's just smart gameplay. If you are part of alliance and they kicked you out, wouldn't you try to break them up and just split them all up? Absolutely. So it was, the way it was edited made it look like, oh, this Dash is trying to pit black women against black women. But if you just stopped and thought about it outside of race, no, it was a power play. And it was a power play that could have worked if people would listen. And it would have been a smart game move.
So I completely agree with all of that. I just think it was bad timing, and I definitely think it was something you should have waited a little bit longer on.
Absolutely.
But I mean, again, backseat playing here for a player that I know is very solid, but like a very well-rounded player. So shouts to Dash here. We'll talk to you soon, because I know the second you are out of the NDA, we have discussed things. So
I've talked to Dash myself. I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
So we also, I don't know when this happened, but I think it was this episode, was when Rick and Steven go to do a chore. They get in there and they have Doc G tiles just there. They get to play Doc G. Literally, it's the winner gets a candy bar, and that's it. But it's kind of fun.
Lame. It was cute, but I was lame. I was like, it's cute, but lame.
Well, because again, Doc G is the first thing that they play on the show, right? So, I know you haven't watched Lana, but the opening, like before they get to Squid Game, right? This guy will approach them with a briefcase and the two little Doc G tiles, and they make an offer and they say, "You flip my tile, I'll give you $10,000. And if I flip your tile, since you can't pay me, I'll just slap the shit out of you."
Oh wow!
Right, and it's pretty visceral, but this was a pretty important part of the show, so I get why it's here, but it did feel kind of like slapdashed in, to be honest.
Yeah, it was lame.
But well, also because they literally have one of the attendants come in and say, "Player 243, you've lost Doc G," right? And in my mind, I'm like,
Is he
he's
gone.
gone.
Eliminated?
Bye. And then they just give Rick a candy bar. And I'm like,
Oh.
choices.
Oh.
So we then, there's drama, like as usual. Like people are talking about the whole Dash situation and like all of that. And then they put out these Jack in the Boxes on the little platform, right? There's 6 of them, but they get told that 5 people need to volunteer to do something with the Jack in the Boxes. Okay, they each need to pick one of the Jack in the Boxes and stand behind it. So player 130, 229, 375,
130,
87,
and 183. Yes.
Yeah. They
all volunteer. Yep.
Yeah. And they get told that one at a time they're gonna open their Jack in the Box, right? And inside the Jack in the Box will be a prize, a punishment. They don't know, right? All they know is you chose to do it, so you're doing it, right?
And that is how we end episode 4.
Yeah.
Because we go into episode 5.
Mhm.
And going to episode 5 right now. And we start with them going into they pick their box, they're standing behind it, and then the announcer comes on and says, 183, please open your box.
To be clear, though, to be something very important, okay? We've mentioned that you have this alliance of Cheney and TJ and Darius
Darius
176,
and
right?
Jess,
But
183.
Jesse is also part of this alliance, okay? And
Yep.
he's the first person opening the Jack in the Box. So he is going so slow opening this damn. It's like da, 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 da. I'm like, just spin the damn thing and open it, please.
I would have been the same way. I've been like, I'm scared. But yeah.
So he opens the Jack in the Box. He gets to eliminate 2 people.
2 people.
So
he
gonna go ahead and get this prepared.
Because he eliminates somebody he says he's never talked to the entire
26.
game. 26, Amber.
Purple.
We don't see. And then he says, I want to eliminate someone who has been stirring up trouble in the dorms, lying and causing trouble. And I won't have that in my dorm. In this dorm, he says, and he eliminates 141 Dash. And I was like, you son of a...
Okay, for his game, made perfect sense. As a viewer, I was annoyed. As someone who is moderately acquainted with Dash, I was very annoyed. But Dash does get the coolest exit of the entire show so far, probably of the year, honestly.
And come to find out, half of his speech was eliminated. He said so much more we did not get to see. But Dash leaves on a note that every Big Brother player, every Survivor player, fan always wants to see when they get eliminated. If you go out, blow up the house or blow up the game on your way out. And Dash did that. Not only naming every person in this 4-person, he said, I didn't lie. They all have an alliance, 176, 179, 183, and TJ's number, I don't remember, but they all have a 4-person alliance.
182.
182. They have an alliance, and I didn't lie. And there was the end of Dash.
Also, we didn't get to see her a lot, but apparently he was very close with someone named Ashley on the couch, who's still in at this point. As of right now, she's still in. So we'll see how she turns out, but apparently they were very close. So that's 183. 183 is done with his portion. Then they go to 375, right? And I'll just, to be clear though, because we don't get a lot of 375 screen time, actually none. 375. So he's opening the Jack in the Box and
he gets eliminated. Like, bye.
Bye
375. So then 087 gets to open his box and he gets to eliminate 1 player. And this is where the karma. Yeah, he's part of the Gumbo. No, not the Gumbo game. He's part of the corner. A lot. Or is he part of the Gumbo game?
No, he's in Gongbu Gang. Yeah, because Gongbu Gang and
he's not in part. He wasn't a part of the original Gumbo Gang, but he was part of that corner alliance with Mike.
You're right. Yeah,
he's part of that corner alliance. But this is where Dash's power play on his way out hit, and it worked, and the karma came back instantly for that alliance because he eliminates 176, which is Darius. He was like, I know you're an alliance, I'm breaking it up. I was like, ooh.
Again, I mentioned earlier, I don't think everyone in this show was playing strategically. Brilliant strategic choice. Because now you know if this alliance is real, they can't hit you for the rest of these Jack in the Boxes. And if it's not real, well, you just got rid of somebody who could have been an alliance. So
exactly.
Get him out of here. So
So then we get to 130. And
who again? Purple
130, purple, never seen this man in my life. But
walked by this man
sorry
on
to
the
this
street.
man. Sorry to
No,
this
don't know
man.
who he is,
But he gets an advantage for the next game,
which is really
which is
powerful.
great. Good for him. Then we
And
get
then
to 229. Felicia, I will never forget her name because she's crying, she's shaking, she don't know what this is. We got some backstory about her. She has a daughter. She has her partner. They tried to get have a kid for a while. Now they took some time off, almost broke up because of it, but then they got their daughter. She's crying, she's
Mhm.
shaking, she's like, I don't know what to do, I don't know where if this is good or not, why did I do this? She's shaking, she's
Mhm.
shaking. You have
She's
something you want
also
to.
we had heard from her a little bit earlier in the episode too, and she's like that Gombu gang group of people. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't say them by name, but
But yeah,
she says they're just. It feels so frat. Like it feels
yeah,
like they because it's a bunch of guys, right?
yeah,
No ladies, just all guys. She's like, there is no way I could ever work with these people because they just don't want to work with me. And it does
exactly.
make and it made her feel pretty bad. And I'm like, yeah, I relate. Trust I feel that.
It was
Um
so crazy because like we didn't get a lot of her in the beginning episodes. We didn't see a lot of her and didn't get a lot of things. But she was one of those people who would sit around and watch. She would just watch people and she would look and see who's talking to who's hanging out with who. And it was just those, those kind of conversations where she was just like, she had her friend, 278 was her friend, and they were hanging out and they just observed around. So they were the ones talking about how they just all these guys just seem to hang around all the time. But she goes and she spins her thing, she spins it, and boop, she's like, oh, and she gets to eliminate 3 people.
broken. Broken.
Oh,
And
and when
yeah,
I'm
it was
just
raw.
gonna say this, I'm just gonna say this, she was a boss.
This
She
was killer gameplay.
killer, strategic, boss. Nothing wrong with what she did in this moment. Everything she did was spot on and perfect. So
I was shocked though.
the first person she eliminates was player 130 because he just got an advantage. I was like, oh,
Oh. Oof.
advantage.
Now I'll be real though. I felt bad for him because there was nothing he could have done to fix that, For all because to me, I mean, again in the edit we didn't get to see him at all, but like it seemed like he was playing a pretty good under the radar game
Mm-hmm.
probably, and
Mm-hmm.
he just got exposed like that, and I'm like, yeah, that
Ooh.
happens, I guess. But oof, it was
I mean,
raw, it was real, and it was so smart.
it was
And
so
then,
smart. And
and
yeah,
then, just
she, oh,
to be clear, this is a bitch kind of moment, right?
yes. She
Because
ate
she looks at this field and she eliminates 232 and 243, sends them both home.
both Rick and Steven, like the core, the heart and soul of the Ganbu gang. She like
Gone.
X go. I was like,
You seen Once Upon a
whoa.
Time, Lana? Like the TV show Once Upon a Time? She
Mm-hmm.
pulled a Regina, just stabbed her hand in the heart, ripped it out, and crushed it in her hand.
She was Mortal Kombat. She finished them. She just like flawless
Beat.
victory, like fatality. Had the heart beating in the hand. Boom, 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 boom.
It
It was,
was fire.
it was
Pure fire.
It was so good. I literally went and followed her the second I watched that episode. I was like, I want to follow you because you made boss moves. That was boss. And she was getting a lot of online hate for this move. And I'm like, y'all are obviously not fans of reality TV or strategic games. Because if you were, what she did made so much sense and don't deserve any of the hate that she's getting online for it. She made a boss move. I'm sorry your faves got out because you fell in, you drank the Kool-Aid of the Gangu game. I'm sorry. But they had to go.
And Like, even if, they were your faves, can you not look at this and say this was a brilliant move? Because it was. This was, I mean, game-changing for a lot of people, I honestly think Rick was the glue holding the Gongbu gang together.
Mm-hmm.
He's out, gone, yeet, right?
Yeet.
So what's going to happen to Alliance now? We don't really know yet, you know? Um, and Steven was a character who was very visible in the first half of the season. What's going to happen now that he's gone? Do we get a new protagonist, Felicia? Like, do we get to see other people like Jada come back into the edit, because she kind of slipped into the background for these last few episodes,
Mm-hmm.
right? Do we get new people popping up? Like, I don't know. I'm going to look over the list of people that are still in. Like, 429. His name's apparently Elliot. Like, I don't know who's gonna come up and replace that spot in the edit, because whoever it is, these are gonna be people that are gonna be around long term that just haven't been exposed yet. So whoever makes it through these next few parts of the show, right? They're going to be visible, but we just lost two of the most visible players in the entire cast. Three of them, because we lost Dash too. So,
That's
like,
right. And not to mention, this was, like we said, this was perfect for her gang, because she knew she was not getting in that group. Like, they were never going to work with her because they had their solid group of guys and she wasn't a part of it. So why not break up a group that you can't get in? Like, it made sense. It was the right move for her game. It was strategic. It was perfect. And she ate that down. And that was the end of the game. And we lost. We went from 70 people at that point to 63.
mm-hmm.
And we
And
are
that's
at
how
a,
many are left as of now.
yeah. And we have, they are, the total is at $3.93 million right now.
Jesus.
That's how much we
That's
are.
a lot
So
of money.
it's a lot of money. And so then challenge is over. Everybody's reeling about it. Some people are like, congratulate her and tell her she was boss for that, because she was. Some people are very sad about people leaving. And it is what it is. It's just the game. But then we get another announcement from the great and powerful Oz, or the people of Squid Game. And
Yeah.
they said that they needed 5 volunteers to do chores.
Mm-hmm.
And so 287, 278, 065, 097, and 054 all decide to volunteer to go do these chores. And so they go into the kitchen and they find out they have to squeeze orange juice in these big cans for canisters in 30 minutes. And if they do that, they'll win a treat for the door.
It was also nice getting to meet some of these players. Like, we hadn't
Yes,
really got to see a lot of them. Like, May, right? I think her name
May.
was May or Mai. I can't remember.
My, I think.
Because they said both, but one of them was wrong, and I could not remember which one it was. She seemed really interesting. I hope we get to see more of her in these next few episodes, because she seemed like somebody who was really cool and interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But so they have to fill up these canisters. They're pretty big. Like,
They're
think
big
like milk,
canisters.
like the old milk bottles
Yeah,
size,
yeah.
probably. But they get it done. They
Get
do
it
it
done.
pretty quickly. It kind of felt like a challenge from the mole, though. I'm gonna be honest. But shouts to the mole, which I cannot wait for that to come back. By the way, it's coming
Me
back
too.
soon.
Very soon. Very
So
soon.
hey, this is like the preamble to the Lawn and Brooke coverage of the mole.
Yes, it is. So if you like to talk about Squid Games, just wait till we start talking about the mole. Period.
Exactly. So they go back in. They get to come back in, and they get told that their treat is a
A
picnic.
picnic.
And I'm like, okay, that's cute.
Yay. Oh,
That's
that's
cute.
cute. They
So they
come
get
out with
told.
the picnic blankets and all kind of stuff, and they tell them to pair up so you can have a picnic with somebody.
The second this got announced, I knew exactly what was going to happen. And I was watching these people celebrate with pure joy about having a picnic with their closest ally. And I'm sitting over here, I'm like, yep, I'd be the person that would say, I will be left out. There are 63 people. Just let me chill by myself. Everyone else, go ahead and have a good time on your picnic.
Period. Like I said, never watched Squid Games, didn't know what's happening. But when they said they were having a picnic and they wanted us to pair up, I was like, this ain't good. Even in my little spirit, I was like, this ain't good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I like this. I would have
So,
either picked somebody who I did not like. I would have never picked my closest ally or friend because I'm like, something ain't right about this. In my
mhm,
spirit, I was like, something ain't right. Or I would have been like you, let me be by myself. I don't know.
mhm. Well, the one guy, Jordan, is the one that gets left by himself. Again, pretty purpled up until this point. Haven't really seen much of him. But everybody else, gets their partner, right? And you got like Leanne and Trey are together, and everyone's pretty much with their closest ally for the most part.
Yeah, 229 and 278 paired up, and
Hmm.
I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, and they're just eating the picnic, having a good time. And somebody's like, "Let me look at this real quick."
Trey
Trey
was saying, let me
lifts
look.
the bottom of the basket is a false bottom, and
Mm-hmm.
underneath that is a bag of marbles.
Marble.
And the second I saw it, I'm like, "Yep, makes sense." Because again, if you've watched OG Squid Game, you probably saw this coming too. And I was watching, and I'm like, did they really, really think that this wasn't gonna happen? Because we've seen, they're guessing the games and guessing the twist and
Mm-hmm.
all this stuff. And for the most part, they've done a pretty good job. I mean, outside of the tug of war warships thing, which they
Mm-hmm.
didn't know that that was even an option, right?
Right, because this is
Um,
new.
and I'm just like, at least like five or six of you had to think, oh, they're making us pick our partners for marbles, because that was my first thought when they said pick a partner,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I guess maybe if you're in the game long enough, or they have enough of these like treats or tests or whatever, you just may not think about it.
Right.
Um, so that is where we have left off at the moment. Everybody has just found out that they're going to have to play marbles against pretty much all of them against their closest ally,
Yep.
except for Jordan, who gets to chill, I'm assuming.
Just uh-huh.
Um,
But
so we are at 63 players remaining,
yep.
uh, with varying degrees of visibility. Um,
Yep.
so yeah, the episodes 6 through 10 did drop today. I'm
Yep.
assuming we're gonna watch them shortly.
We will be
Come back,
watching them.
yeah, come back to you all shortly for part two. Lana, since you don't know what comes after this in terms of like Squid Game plotline, right? Uh, two questions. One, what if you had to guess, right? What would be a challenge you think could show up? And two, if you had to pick a winner, who's your winner pick?
I mean, I feel like now that there are less people, maybe they'll do the tug of war
Mm-hmm.
now. Because like, yeah, y'all thought, but it's not, but we're still doing it. So maybe after marbles, we'll lose a half of these people, and then maybe it'll be a more even tug of war. Like, maybe it's
Mm-hmm.
five on five, or six, whatever, not 15 on 15. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So maybe I don't even, and I couldn't even begin to think about what other games, because I don't know what the
Yeah.
games have been or are. So I don't know. But for me, I can see a couple people emerging victorious in this game. I think Leanne has a good chance of being a winner in this game. I see Felicia being a good winner in this game. Um, I could see. I think a woman's winning this game.
You do.
That's my opinion. I think a woman is
Mm-hmm.
winning this game, but I wouldn't be surprised if a TJ win this game, or
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I'm gonna make a few calls. Okay, I think if I was gonna pick three people that I think have the best chance based on the edit, purely based on the edit, right? Um, I would go with B. I would
Mm-hmm.
go with TJ, and I'm gonna go with Jada because we've had her around since the
Mm-hmm.
beginning. I think those are the three that I'm like the most inclined to believe. But again, for all we know, somebody could come out of the woodwork in this Marbles episode and just, dominate the edit for the back half,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of the players that I would say dominated the edit for the first half are out.
Are gone.
Brighton's
Mm-hmm.
gone, Rick's gone, Steven's gone, Dash is gone. So we're going to have to see new people come up and replace them in the edit. Um, and I'm very intrigued to see who it's going to be. As org people, we do have vested interest in Chapman, so we're
Oh,
gonna
Chapman's
hope
still in there.
Chapman
Mm-hmm.
is still in. So I hope he makes it through Marvels. I hope he makes it all the way to the end. Honestly, um, and there are still plenty of other people that are still in that have gotten some edit. So we'll see what happens. Um, but yeah, so Squid Game: The Challenge episodes 1 through 5.
That's it. We've done it. We're gonna wrap it up because we've been here for 2 hours, and it doesn't really matter because I enjoyed every second of the 2 hours that we were here to talk about Squid Games, and we'll be back to talk about the next 5 episodes when we finally get a chance to catch up at some point. Hopefully this week we'll do it. We'll be back, probably the same panel. Don't know if it's going to be the same time, but we will be back. And you know what? I did not do this entire time, but I wanted you all to see the beautiful people. But for 2 hours, we have not been ticking that at all.
Something was wrong on the screen. I could not tell you what it was, and now that you put it up, yep, that makes
Yep,
sense.
there it is. But you can follow us all on our uh, all of our socials at Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at The Cup Pod. And we have some funny moments and we talk about some funny things. So check us out on our socials. You can also check me and Brooke out on our socials on Twitter and Instagram if you want. That's my Instagram right there. My Twitter is down there. Um, Follow, subscribe, hit the notification bells. If you stuck with us this whole time, you obviously like us a little bit. So hit the subscribe button. We appreciate it. And if you support us, we appreciate the support. And we will try to give great content out almost every single day. While you're down there, get your cup merch at lanagcreations.etsy.com. Not limited to the cup mug because we have other cup items, but you can get a cup mug too. Get all of
Cup
your
mug.
get all of your merch, get all of your things, hit all of the buttons. If you hit the dislike button, hit it twice. Leave comments. Tell us what you think about this episode. Who are you rooting for now? And yeah, we cheers.
Cheers,
Cheers to
everybody.
you. Cheers, y'all. Bye. Squid Games. Squid Games. Do-do-do-do. Squid Games. Do-do-do. All of that.